Hi there, this is Solondz from Solondz Films and welcome to our random review. Today's random review comes from 2004 and it's Palindromes by Todd Solonz. This is the Radiance Blu-ray. They also released a 4K as well, but I just plumped for the Blu-ray with a nice little booklet. This also has some wonderful little extra features. There's an interview by critic Hannah Strong with Solondz, which is fantastic. There's an interview with actor Alexander Brickell, a video essay by Lillian Crawford, and a trailer. So as usual, Radiance do a wonderful job. Now, if you thought Todd Solonz's happiness was offensive, you're probably going to find Palindromes even more offensive, because objectively it probably is more offensive to a certain group of people. It's a simple story, but obviously Solondz likes to tell simple stories, but mess with the form or characters a little bit. This is a simple tale of a girl called Aviva, who this teenage girl, 13-year-old, who becomes pregnant. Richard Masur from The Thing, you know, Watch Clark, he was with those dogs, and Ellen Barkin play her parents, and they want her to get an abortion. She ends up running away, and it's essentially some vignettes of the people she meets throughout this life before she returns home at the end of the film. Obviously Palindrome starts and ends the same. Now Solondz plays with it a little bit, the fact that 8 different actors play the character of the 13-year-old girl. One of them is a boy. Different, you know, a couple of black actors play the character. As I said, a boy plays the character, and also Jennifer Jason Leigh plays the character. So why would this be offensive? For some people might think it's more offensive than happiness. Well, of course, the subject of paedophilia is brought up again by Solondz. Some people would think he's obsessed. But it also has a go at pro-lifers, also pro-choice, born-again Christianity. It shows disabled children possibly being exploited. So regardless of your sensibility, I'm sure there's something in Palindromes that will probably offend you. You know, some are thin, some are somewhat overweight. But what kind of happens with having 8 different people play the one character in all these little vignettes, it's we, the audience, that are our biases and our kind of sensibilities are really put to the test, because how you react to one actor playing the character compared with another actor, it's really a fascinating kind of journey. Solondz, like all good filmmakers or good artists, want to challenge the audience, want to make the audience feel uncomfortable, and again with his films he has done a really good job of that. The film starts with a nod to a character from Welcome to the Dollhouse. All his films kind of, well, not maybe all of them, but a lot of them are, there's characters that are sort of interconnected, sometimes played by the same actor, sometimes played by different actors. The Wiener family kind of cross-pollinates quite a lot of his films. I've actually ordered another 3 of his films because you know, I've always loved Happiness, but Palindromes is, it's not quite at Happiness's level, but it's not far off, and Welcome to the Dollhouse is fantastic as well. It's crazy to think that when these films came out, you know, it would be, there's no way we would ever get a 4K of like Happiness or a Blu-ray of Happiness, but that's obviously happened with Criterion. And as I said, Radiance also released this in 4K. Personally, you know, these are low budget films. The film stock, you know, isn't wonderful. Solondz isn't necessarily a visual filmmaker. It's more about the characters with his work. It's kind of shot in a very kind of flat way, the same way Happiness is. So I wouldn't really say, you know, the 4K is a necessary purchase, for me at least. The Blu-ray is a 2K scan, and it looks absolutely fine. Again, the visuals for a Solondz film, that's not really what you're watching Todd Solonz films for, I don't think, personally anyway. So I'm not sure you really need to spend the extra, I mean, I suppose it's like an extra $5 in the UK for the 4K. But I'm hoping his other films get kind of Blu-ray releases as well. I'm excited to see Dark Horse, just because it's got Christopher Walken in it. Again, Solondz is one of those directors, a bit like Jim Jarmusch, who's interested in characters and kind of communities that don't normally get, not publicity, but aren't normally discussed in film. You know, the Christian anti-abortion community that the character meets, run by Mama Sunshine, is wonderful. There's a couple of fantastic songs that they sing, full of energy and life about what would Jesus do, but you can see why people would get offended. Granted, nowadays people would get offended at anything, but certainly back then you can see why Palindromes got him into trouble the same way Happiness got him into trouble. You know, in the interview, which is absolutely wonderful, he does talk about how it's a struggle to get money to make his films, and he kind of talks about how the studios or executives or people in charge of green lighting films always say to him, you know, oh, we admire your work and we really like your work, but of course we can't give you any money to make films, which is kind of sad. But he is such a kind of independent voice, and it's another example of, yes, we all, you know, tease and make a mockery of mainstream American cinema as being not very good, but independent American cinema, especially, you know, in the 90s and the 2000s, there's always, you know, great little filmmakers and great little films. And if your humour is of a certain way and you like discussions about kind of dark topics that modern kind of mainstream Hollywood doesn't really touch, then Todd Solonz is a filmmaker for you. You know, Palindromes has a lot of funny moments if you have a certain sense of humour. You know, reading some reviews of this just by people on Letterboxd, for example, there's a lot of 1-star reviews, a lot of 2-star reviews asking why the people involved in this film aren't all in prison. You know, it's better for me and a lot of people to be a filmmaker that at least elicits reactions from people. Now, whether you're just out to shock people, that's one thing. I don't think Solondz is the kind of person, you know, I've heard a lot of interviews with him, and he doesn't seem to be the sort of person that's just making these films to shock people. I think he's genuinely fascinated by the darker side of human behaviour, because let's be honest, the dark side of human behaviour is what humans do best. But it's better to be a filmmaker that causes reactions. Some people love your films, other people hate your films, rather than a filmmaker that is just completely bland, middle of the road, makes instantly forgettable films, nobody cares about their films. So, I mean, obviously Solondz would prefer to have lots of money to make the films he wants to make, but certainly from an artistic standpoint, an integrity standpoint, I think Solondz is one of those filmmakers that you can say, well, he's had a really good career of doing it his way. So Palindromes, if you're a fan of Solondz, obviously it's a must buy. But if you like to have films that challenge you a little bit as far as your beliefs or your political stance, or about the taboos that society have, Palindromes is a wonderful watch. Along a similar vein to Happiness, but it doesn't quite reach the greatness of Happiness, even though again there's plenty of people that would happily never watch Happiness again or give it 1-star reviews for Happiness. It all depends on which way your boat floats. So thanks very much for watching this random review. Hopefully there's more Todd Solonz Blu-ray releases coming. He doesn't have that many films. Obviously there's a Blu-ray of Life During Wartime, which is actually in the Criterion. I think I've just ordered a DVD of it. But yeah, I mean, Happiness will always be my favourite, but I'm excited to watch the others, and Hope, Radiance, as you know, with Tai Kato and some other filmmakers. Fukasaku, Radiance does seem to want to mine some veins, so hopefully they're going to mine the Todd Solondz vein for a few more Blu-ray releases. That would be quite wonderful. So thanks very much for watching. Please let me know if you've seen Palindromes and what you think of it, and hopefully you'll join me again for more random reviews. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, saying farewell